One of the largest exhibitions of contemporary African art is on show at the Louis Vuitton Foundation in Paris. More than 35 artists from a dozen different countries are on the menu. In the last 5 or 7 years, Africa has finally gained true visibility, true recognition, and some artists are gaining international interest. Established African artists like Malik Zabidi and Seydou Keita are rubbing shoulders with the new generation like Omar Victor Diop. It's with works of this quality that we'll be able to position contemporary African creation as a real trend rather than a fashion. There are 2 shows in one, with a segment devoted to new South African art, where politics, pictures and the esoteric merge.
Deal with the erasure of the female body by bringing the female body into the space. Because if I go into a space, there's no way that you cannot look at me. I exist, therefore you must deal with my existence.
Art Africa, the new workshop, on show in Paris until August the 28th.
Tech giant Google has been handed a record €2.4 billion fine by the EU. The European Commission says the ruling came after the US company abused its power in the search engine market by promoting its own shopping comparison service. EU competition chief Margrethe Vestager said Google had denied consumers genuine choice and ordered it to end the practice within 90 days.
Google has abused its market dominance as a search engine by giving illegal advantages to another Google product, its shopping comparison service. Google must end this conduct within 90 days or face penalty payments.
The €2.4 billion fine is the largest penalty to date against a firm accused of distorting the market. For the moment, it's unclear whether Google plans to appeal against the EU's move.
The migrant offshore aid station says more than 30 migrant boats left Libya for Europe on Sunday, probably because of the end of Ramadan, it says. Sea-Watch says there has never been so many rescued migrants on its ship. More than 300 men were on board, along with 26 women, 4 of whom were pregnant, and 17 children. This Italian police video shows the arrest of 3 suspected people smugglers. They were picked up among 267 migrants who had been transported to the Sicilian port of Pozzallo.
Firefighters are still continuing to battle a major blaze near the Donian Wildlife Reserve in southern Spain. The forest fire has so far forced the evacuation of 2,000 people and the removal of the endangered Iberian lynx from a breeding centre in the region. Like much of Spain, Huelva in Andalusia has been on high alert for forest fires because of a heat wave which has seen temperatures soar above 40 Celsius. Officials say more than 400 firefighters and soldiers have been deployed to extinguish the flames, using dozens of vehicles and 14 aircraft. The windy conditions are said to be hampering efforts to bring the blaze under control. For the moment, no fatalities have been reported.
Dozens of victims of the worst forest fires in Portugal's history did not get the help they needed. That's the finding of the National Civil Protection Authority, or ANPC, which is blaming a breakdown in communication. The ANPC has handed its black box data to the government. Portugal's Minister for Internal Affairs wants an independent investigation into the communication system. At least 84 people died and more than 200 were injured during the fires, which are the worst in Europe for the last decade. More than 58,000 hectares of forest were lost in 4 days.
pressure on the White House with a warning that its latest proposal to replace Obamacare would result in a further 22 million Americans losing insurance. The warning came as the Vice President tried to reassure a delegation of citizens with healthcare problems.
So I'm begging you, please, please, whatever it takes, we've got to get this fixed. It's destroying people. It's destroying me. So please, please.
The White House has dismissed the warning about the draft Republican bill from the non-partisan Congressional Budget Office as inaccurate.
Thank you for sharing your heart. And I promise you, the President and I and our whole team
Thank you.
are not going to stop working until we get this thing done.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have that here.
The Democrats described the latest warning on the Republicans' draft bill as jaw-dropping.
The Congressional Budget Office. Today's report confirms what doctors, patient advocates, Democrats and Republicans have been saying for weeks. Trump care will lead to higher costs for less care and will lead to tens of millions of Americans left without any insurance.
The Congressional Budget Office says over the next decade, 49 million people would be uninsured under the draft bill, compared with 28 million under Obamacare.
The EU's chief Brexit negotiator has given Theresa May's offer short shrift. In a post on Twitter, Michel Barnier said it needed more ambition, clarity and guarantees. It's been a year of uncertainty for expats on both sides of the Channel. There have been reports of people across the EU scrambling to apply for citizenship or even permanent residency.
The horror scenario of expelling people from the UK was never, ever part of my expectations. What Theresa May is making a big show about is the least, is just the minimum that you would have expected. Anyone arriving before the Article 50 has been triggered should have the kinds of rights that were expected as part of the European Union membership.
The EU side wants the European Court of Justice to guarantee the rights of those EU nationals remaining in Britain. British expats abroad are worried as well.
Any reasonable person would think, well, let the European Court of Justice set the guidelines, but let a British court interpret them for EU citizens in Britain. EU citizens who've been working in Britain for the past few years, they deserve the same rights. They should not be second-class citizens in Britain. And likewise, I mean, I've been living in Belgium for 17 years. Why should I be a second-class citizen in Belgium?
It leaves the prospect of a quick deal on citizens' rights looking very bleak indeed.
Televidente, nós está vai break e ora nós está back nos informe na Deportivo com nosso colega Carl Reuter.